Today we're going to talk about Lucy Letby. Lucy Letby was a nurse that was working for the Countess of Chester Hospital. In November 2020, Lucy was charged with 7 counts of murder and 15 counts of attempted murder in relation to the babies that she used to care for while working at the Countess of Chester Hospital. In 2015, there were 4 collapses in the same ward, and out of those 4, 3 of the babies passed away, and they were all while Lucy was working. It was reported that with this hospital, they didn't have that many infant deaths, and usually there were about 2 or 3 in a year. But when Lucy joined the hospital in that neonatal unit, they started seeing an increase in terms of the number of babies that were dying, and their deaths for the most part were unexplained. And so what it was then established was that all of these tragedies were taking place while Lucy was on shift. So if, let's say, she was off on leave, there would sort of be a slowdown in terms of the rate of deaths for the baby. And as soon as Lucy came back, that number sort of started increasing again. There's a consultant that was on record saying that he raised his suspicion about Lucy as early as 2015. However, the management at the hospital didn't really want to pursue any charges, and what they were doing instead were doing internal reviews, just conducting their own investigations into the matter, but they were hesitant in engaging the police. So this went on. While the management were not keen in involving the police, the consultants, they were still raising the alarm to say that Lucy needs to be taken out of the ward or, put on other duties just for her not to be caring for children, because they were suspicious of her and that she is actually harming the children and she is causing the deaths, because it was very unusual for the hospital. After a little while, Lucy was then moved to administrative duties, so again taken off the ward from looking after the children. In 2017, the consultants that raised the alarm spoke to the police, and at that time an investigation was launched. In 2015, when they raised the initial alarm, the police weren't called. However, in 2017 the police were involved. In July 2018, Lucy was arrested and charged with the murders and attempted murder of the babies that she was looking after. Her trial took a while, from the initial arrest from 2018 until her conviction, which was in August 2023. So it seems like a long period of time, but again, maybe that could be understood in terms of just doing a thorough investigation to ensure that actually they've got all the information that they need in terms of charging and convicting. August 2023, Lucy was convicted and she received 15 whole life sentences, so meaning life in prison. However, there's been a bit of movement as of August 2025 to the Lucy Letby case, because it was then revealed through her lawyers that some of evidence that was provided in her initial trial was suppressed. It wasn't made available to the jury, that wasn't permitted. And so now the lawyers are arguing that Lucy's conviction was unsafe, and so they're calling for having a retrial for her. As that now, there's nothing at the moment in terms of the court process, whether that is being brought back to court. There are no dates at the moment, but there's a conversation that has brought Lucy's case back to light in terms of court process. The babies died in 2015, so to think 2015 to 2025, that's a long time period for the family. So to think that this might go to court again, for them to come back again and speak and hear the horrific deaths, because at the end of the day, they lost their babies. So that's quite sad in terms of bringing it back for their point of view, that is digging it back up. Not that they would move on from having their babies die, because again, at the end of the day, their babies are not coming back, but just to relive that trauma, which I'm sure, will be a traumatic experience. To lose a baby is unimaginable. To lose a baby knowing that somebody had their hand in causing them harm, that's made even worse. And then to think that, the case might come back to court, that they have to relive it again, which must be really horrific for the family. At the moment, there is no date in terms of what's going to happen, because the courts find that her conviction was unsafe. At the moment, we don't know. But what I will do is, when there is an update, I will inform this platform.